Today, what we're going to be talking about is online shopping. So sort of a beginner's guide to online shopping. Big focus of today is going to be on finding, the best places to shop online, how to research what you want to buy online, and how to stay safe when shopping online. This is a big thing. Obviously, we're creeping up to the holiday season, so we might be doing some online shopping. That means there's going to be a lot of good deals potentially coming up, but that also always comes with some scams and stuff like that. So we want to make sure that we have all of the tools we need at our disposal to make the most of a holiday online shopping and also stay safe while doing so. So we'll jump in.
Ray, would you like questions at the end, or would you like folks to raise their hand in Zoom during? If you want.
At the end is great. If you want to put any questions in the chat, feel free to do so, and I can try to address them as I go. But at the end would be ideal, just to move
Great.
smoothly along. Perfect. Cool. All right. So as I said, some of the stuff we are going to be talking about today. So first of all, just best practices for online shopping. How to stay safe when we're online shopping. So how to check if the site is trustworthy, how to check reviews, not just for sites and sellers, but for items as well, how to price check items online, and how to return items you bought online, and how to check return policies. So when we're talking about online shopping, especially if you're someone who is maybe newer to online shopping, hasn't done it a bunch, the best way to really start or to begin to online shop is to use familiar sites. This is really one of the safest ways we can shop online. And if you already have any familiarity with some of these stores in their brick and mortar locations, you already have a sense of the types of products you're getting, and you kind of know what you're getting into. So using familiar sites is a great way to start online shopping. It is also the safest way to start when we're online shopping, for anyone who's online shopping. So a really great thing to do when you're just beginning is to shop from trusted, I wrote IRL retailers online. I get a question of what I mean by IRL. I just mean in real life. So I just mean stores that also have brick and mortar locations, places like Walmart, Best Buy, Target, places where you can actually go in person, are always safe bets for online shopping and for places where you can return items to. It's also important, again, when we want to make sure that we're being as safe as we can when we're shopping online, is stick to big names, right? Walmart, Best Buy, Amazon, Etsy as a marketplace seller. If we're using marketplace type platforms, is to go with these bigger trusted names. Obviously, we always want to support smaller businesses and shop from smaller retailers. But we do just have to do a bit more research in those cases and be a bit more careful. We're shopping from bigger retailers. We have somewhat of an added layer of protection to our online shopping experience. However, if you are using, some of these big box stores or these bigger ones, you do have to watch out for a couple of things on these stores. Sites like Best Buy and Walmart do not just sell products from their stores or their warehouses. They also offer their platform up to what's called marketplace sellers. So these are independent sellers selling their goods on the site. This kind of replicates what Amazon.com does. And so they've tried to integrate some of this into their online shopping platforms as well. So every once in a while, when you're shopping on these sites, making sure that you're reading items really carefully below the price and where they're available, to check for things like this one here. You can see it says marketplace seller. This means this is being sold by a third-party seller through the platform. It's not being sold to you from Walmart directly or from Best Buy directly. So be sure always when you're shopping online to pay close attention to who you're actually buying the product from and to really read that fine print. It will tell you a lot, and the more information there, the better always. When you're shopping online, it's really important to always check site security, regardless if whether the product you're going to buy or the person you're buying from is a trustworthy person, if the product even arrives or not. The website itself has to be secure. It has to have, if you're on a on looking at the URL of the website, it should have this little lock icon, or else you should be able to see the precursor https:// on it. This means this is a secure website, and this is incredibly important for online shopping, because when we're online shopping, we are putting maybe credit card information in the site when we check out. And if that site is not secure, if it is vulnerable to outside spying and hacking, then our financial information will be at risk. So only shopping from stores that have the proper security protocol set up on their website. And it's pretty easy to check by checking the URL at the top where you've plugged it in to check for either that lock, that https://. Now, another tip when we're buying online, this is both for safety and just to make sure that we're getting good products, is you can always research your seller on the Better Business Bureau. You're able to search for really any business on the Better Business Bureau, but you can also search for online businesses, places that don't necessarily have, we said, brick and mortar locations, that are purely online businesses. And it's a pretty easy place to search on. I'll give you a quick tour of what this looks like. So when you're shopping online, especially if you're not shopping from the places that we're familiar with, the Amazons, the Walmarts, the Best Buys, say you've found something online, or you've heard about something, maybe you've been fed an ad through Facebook or Instagram, and you are interested in shopping from a website that's outside of that scope, but you're just not as familiar with it. Something that you can really quickly do is you can search businesses on the Better Business Bureau. So say I do search, say, for Etsy. Search this again. We can search. Oh, for some reason, I'll just search something else that will come up. Say I search Best Buy, we know this one, but basically what we can see is we can see business profile and review. The Better Business Bureau will give businesses a rating and see if it's accredited. We can see information about a business. We can visit its website. This will help us make sure that we have the correct website for an online business that we're shopping from, and all of that. That being said, the Better Business Bureau, though it is a great way to search for a lot of businesses, not every business, especially international shops, will be listed on Better Business Bureau. So we do have to recognize that. It's a great tool for shopping really within the States, but it doesn't have as much reach beyond shopping outside of the US, right? You might be buying products from Canada. You might be buying products online from China, because those are a lot of the places that our online products are coming from. So you can use Better Business Bureau as a first stop to check. However, your research should go beyond Better Business Bureau. We'll talk about a couple other ways to look up the shops online that we are thinking of shopping from. So the other thing you can do to check if a website is legit or an online shop is legitimate is to simply Google it. Google the seller and check forums to find other shoppers' experience. This can be especially helpful, as I said, to newer sellers or sellers that are not based in the US or Canada, that may not be registered with the Better Business Bureau. So if you just Google something like so say I want to know if the website Etsy is a legitimate site that I can trust. I will literally just Google, I do this all the time when I'm shopping online, is this place legit? So I just search, is Etsy legitimate? And you will find articles, right? Great. I have an article here from Norton Antivirus, which is a trusted cybersecurity firm, asking this question. Yes, it's a legitimate online marketplace. Great. I can also go further. Sometimes there's forums as well. Reddit is actually a really good place. Reddit is just an online forum where different people online can just talk about certain topics. And I think it's a great place to check this stuff out because people will be talking about it. Also, people will be talking about if they got scammed on this. So it's a great way to kind of, outside of what the website itself might tell you about its legitimacy, to talk to other people online or see what other people online are saying about their experience with a certain seller. So do check these out. A Google search goes a really long way in the case of online shopping safety. Beyond looking at the seller, we also have to consult product reviews for individual products. So a lot of the time when we're shopping online, most of us are doing a lot of our online shopping at these bigger box retailers, or maybe we're shopping on places like Amazon. And so Amazon itself is a trustworthy website. However, it is really, at the end of the day, a marketplace for other sellers, right? Amazon is not, with certain products, Amazon basic products, they are the ones manufacturing, storing, and selling it. And they are storing a lot of sellers' products, but these are individual companies using Amazon as just a marketplace to sell their items. So we have to go beyond just looking at the whole of the site to look at individual items and what people are rating them, because we have so many options now in terms of products that it's easy to get lost in the mix. So consulting product reviews. Now there's a couple ways we can consult product reviews. So most selling websites will have reviews directly under the product they are selling. Reviews on a selling site can generally give you feedback about the product as well as the seller. So say I'm looking for a blender and I'm looking on Amazon.com, right? So here I've searched up this blender. Great. I want to look at reviews for this. Sometimes you'll see like a little click here, it says ratings, where I can just jump down to see the reviews. But most all the time, the reviews are at the bottom. So I can go down here and I can look at all the reviews. Oftentimes there might be photos associated with these reviews, and I can read about it. Now, when we're looking at reviews for a product on a site, we're getting kind of two stories. We're getting information about the product itself and the seller. So I'm going to learn about this, but I also may learn about, this thing didn't come on time, or it got lost and they weren't very helpful when figuring out how to locate the item. It broke and they didn't really give me a great customer service experience, or on the other side of it, really positive. So reading these, we can see all of these reviews. We can even, on places like Amazon, search reviews. So like if you have a very specific need for this blender, you're wondering how it's going to make smoothies, maybe you search smoothies and you can see what people are saying about that capability. So we can find out a lot of information about an item. Another thing to consider with reviews is how many reviews there are. I always say when shopping online, you don't want to be the guinea pig in buying a product. I mean, you can be, but I like to always just buy products that already have a lot of reviews on them so we can make sure. This is a blender that has 5,000 ratings on Amazon, and out of 5,000, it has an average score of 4.7. That's really, really good. That's like very positive. We can read the negative reviews on this, and we should, but we also have to consider the whole of how people are rating this product and take some positive and negatives with a grain of salt. But overall good reviews so we can feel good about this. Now, beyond looking at product reviews on the individual website, it's also important to view product reviews independently of it from different sellers. Because like I said, when we're searching on an Amazon, looking at a product, some of the reviews may be about the product, but there may also be parts of positive and or negative reviews that actually are reflective of the seller, the person who's shipping it and sending it out. And that product might be on multiple websites. And so, it may just be that there's a problem with the seller, not the actual product. And so we want to consider that as well. So we can always use Google to review reviews across the internet for a product. So this will tell you more about the product unencumbered by those complaints buyers might have about sellers. So we can go to Google, and this is the blender I was looking at, the Ninja Professional one, and I'll just search reviews. Oftentimes when we do this, we should see a little tab over to the right from Google that says reviews. I can click on this button here. And here I'm going to get basically a very similar thing, 4.6 across, and we can see the reviews. And below every review, we can see where it comes from. So this is a review from someone who bought the product from Target. This is a review of someone who bought the product from Wayfair, from Walmart, Target again, right? So we see just reviews for the product itself, Canadian Tire, it's here, all these places. So we see just a more broad review of it. So good to also check that out, especially if you are unsure about the reviews from a particular seller. You can also consult product reviews on product reviewing websites. This might give you more information about the product in comparison to other products. So when we're looking at reviews for a singular product, the people buying those aren't buying 5 blenders and testing them all and telling you what's best. They're just saying, this blender worked great for me, I'm good with it. If we look at product review websites, a lot of these places, they'll buy like a bunch of blenders, they'll try them all in different things, and they'll give you their opinion on which one's the best one. For doing this, I always like to consult. Wirecutter is a big one for me that I use when looking at it. They do give you multiple options, and they give you a lot of details about why a product is good or maybe not so good. Wirecutter is from the New York Times. So I did do the same search. I just had Googled best blenders, and then I think I searched Wirecutter. And they update this regularly. So they updated this in July. They'll update this like every year. What's the best blender? And so they'll do, a lot of the time they'll do multiple reviews. So they'll say, this is our pick. If you go down, they'll see what they're reviewing based on. So this is our pick, but they'll always do like a runner up. They'll also do like, this one's also great. And they'll always do a budget pick too, something that's maybe a bit less expensive than the bigger ones. So we can go from there. There's also other review sites. If you just searching best blenders 2023, usually you'll get like 100 articles on what's the best blender. And we can go into a couple one of these. And this does seem like a lot of work, but once you get used to doing sort of this sort of research about things you're buying online, it does really pay off and it's good. Just do be sure not to get too caught up in it. I have an issue where when I shop online, I'll do research for like 5 hours straight and then end up buying nothing and then just never do it. So you can get into that cycle. And no, Wirecutter is not a paid site. It's just free reviews. They just do that. So you can you can use that for any case, but a bunch of sites have these ways of looking at products. So there's a lot of information out there to look at and make sure that you're getting the exact product that you want to get. You can also try searching really specific things. So again, if you have a really specific need for, I don't know, a blender, you can be like, best blender for smoothies, because that might be different. Or you can be like best multi-purpose blender, best blender food processor combo. That's like, I think what I Googled when I bought mine, because I wanted something that I could use for both. So, you could search these different criteria and you'll get a lot of articles and information on it. The other thing that you can do, and it's really helpful, is to price check items across the internet. You can use Google Shopping to do this. I believe that Yahoo also has an option for this. So if you want to check this, you can go to shopping.google.com. This will allow you to see the same item across the internet. Again, Bing/Yahoo also has a price checking tool that you can use if you prefer. Now, these are really helpful for a number of reasons. First of all, you can make sure by doing this, I think I searched. here, right, yeah, this is me doing this on Google Shopping. I've just searched this and I can see the same blender on a bunch of different sites here, Canadian Tire, Amazon, from Ninja itself. And I can go across and I can see the prices. Now, this is really important to see, if you're not getting ripped off, getting a good deal. It's also really important to do this to check to see if something is legitimate. So when we're on the internet, a big way that scammers like to get us is through giving us these too good to be true sort of deals, right? They re-listen with us and then we buy something. The good and bad thing of the internet is because of how online stores are set up, because of how accessible this information and how quickly we can price check things now, prices for items pretty much are going to be very similar across the internet. You're very unlikely to find this incredible deal on a blender on one site that you can't find on another site. These websites, specifically places like Amazon, do this purposely. They have technology that allows them to basically scour the internet for the products they're selling, check the price across the internet, and then match their price to it to make it the most competitive. So you're not going to see a huge variation between prices across the internet. You may see a difference of $10, $20, but you're not going to see like massive differences a lot of the time, especially on like products like this. You may more likely see this with like clothes. Sometimes I find that one shop might have a sale on a certain pair of boots that another one just hasn't done yet, because they're not just selling the same amount of inventory, or they're switching out. But with like things like any sort of appliances or products that you can buy really widely across the internet, in a bunch of different stores, like a blender, like a TV, like a computer, any sort of electronic that like you can buy from a million different types of stores, you'll see similar prices across the internet. So this is a great way to just check you're getting a good deal, but also check for a red flag that this might be a price for an item that's completely out of scope of what it should actually be priced at. Another really key thing to get in the habit of doing and make sure you can do when you're shopping online is to check the return policy. All shops should have a detailed return policy to you. If they don't, that is a red flag and you should steer clear of that. Additionally, sellers that are online as well as IRL in real life have brick and mortar locations, might allow in-person returns too. So something to consider. A place like Amazon, you can only return through shipping the item back. Usually they're pretty good at providing shipping labels to ship items back for free. There are more and more sellers on Amazon that are not doing this anymore, and you might have to pay a small fee to return it. So something to look out for when you're shopping online. The days of being able to buy 50 things and then return half of them because it's free returns is kind of coming to a close. So we have to be more conscious of this. But we can also consider when we're shopping online, is this item returnable in person? When you're shopping at places like Walmart, or shopping from Best Buy, or shopping from a clothing store that has real life locations, oftentimes you can buy online, but you can still go in person to return it if you must. So do know and do check those things. Again, checking for return policy, it should be available on the item. So we'll go back to this as an example. Usually it's somewhere below where you add it to your cart, but for Amazon, for example, this return, sometimes it's small, is right here. Make sure you're reading the fine print and all the details. I can see this is returnable until January 31st, and you can read their full return policy here. So always checking for a return policy to make sure that you are able to, if you need to, because again, we don't get to see, touch anything with products we buy online before we buy them. And so we have to have that assurance, that safety, that if it doesn't work out, we will be protected, can get our money back, and can return the item. And again, things to see, is there free shipping on them? How long do you have to return the item? And what grounds can you return the item on? Can you just return it because you just don't like it? Or does there have to be some problem with it? Now, those are some tips I have for like when we're getting to online shopping. It's about safety, but also about finding the best item for yourself. Now, we do need to talk about the most common risks associated with online shopping. Don't know why some of this are numbered and some of these are bullet points. It can happen. But some of the risks with online shopping are some of the risks that exist across the internet. But things like identity theft, fake online stores, unencrypted data transfer, which is when the site isn't safe and your information is not hidden under encryption, data breaches, fake reviews, fake products, fake websites and apps, unsecure Wi-Fi, adware, and phishing. So let's talk about what this means, what types of shopping scams we might see crop up. So there's really kind of a few really common things that we see specifically targeting online shoppers. And the first one is fake websites and apps. So sometimes scammers will create whole fake online stores or dupe real ones in order to lure victims. So when we are on a website, we want to make sure that this website is legit. We want to follow some of the things we already talked about, namely Googling the site, making sure that it's a legitimate site, and making sure that we have the correct URL, but also checking if it is an unsecure URL. So checking for that safety protocol in it, so that https:// that lock. We can also check for things like a dodgy domain history. So we can Google who's owned that website URL. And we should be able to see if something has passed through a lot of hands, we can see that that's maybe iffy. Pixelated images of items. So if I'm looking at a picture of a shoe and it's really pixelated, it's a really poor quality, this might be a sign that this is a copied site, that they have taken the images, the details from real stores and pulled it onto their site. But they did this really kind of quickly and haphazardly, and they didn't save the full resolution photos of the item. And so now you end up with this really pixelated small version of the photo. We can also look for things like typos and poor grammar. Again, this site might have been made in a rush or else by someone outside of the US, where English is not the first language, which is often the case. Amateur design, so it just doesn't look good. It's slow when it loads. It doesn't, it's not like just easy to navigate and just doesn't look like a very nice website. Steep discounts. If a site is promising really steep discounts, too good to be true, that is a sign that is not legitimate. There's limited contact details, again, and no details on return policy or super complicated return policy. So looking for all of these things, especially when we're shopping from sites that we're not so familiar with. Now, another thing that we see with online shopping that's going to come up again around the holidays is email promotions and links. So you may start receiving more of these as we get closer to the holidays. Emails toting great deals on products. Sometimes these might be coming from a brand but it has been duped, so it's not actually the real place. These can come through email, through text. They may even come through social media. They may come up as ads on social media. Places like Facebook don't always properly monitor the ads that are bought, and so you do have to be wary of this on all forms. So signs of a fake promotion. Again, these emails or these ads have classic phishing email signs. So those grammar and spelling errors, just read it carefully. See if it even makes sense. Inconsistencies in email addresses, links, and domains. So if they're emailing you from one site, but and you can look at their email address and see where it's coming from, and it says one thing, but the link they're sending to you is somewhere else. Those types of inconsistencies. A sense of urgency. Also, this deal is only going to last for the next 24 hours. So you need to act now in order to make the most of this once in a lifetime deal on these products. Suspicious attachments. If there's just a weird attachment with a extension that you don't recognize, right? When we get attachments, every file we have on our device has a sort of extension. So if you get a photo, often it's like .jpeg or video.mov, .mp4, .mp3. Google Docs is like docx or something. So things we don't recognize. If it's like .x3, XV25, like I don't know what that means. I'm not going to open it. So making sure that you're not opening attachments on any sort of thing that have a suspicious name or extension to them. And again, just too good to be true. And then just request, even if you get to the stage where you are on something, request for payment or information in ways that don't seem necessary or legitimate. A lot of these sites too might ask you to pay in weird ways, pay in ways that are not very trackable. Either they'll make you pay through crypto or some unsecure payment platform that you haven't heard of before, stuff like that. And then another thing that becomes really common, which is not necessarily a direct result of you shopping online, but may happen, and it uses sort of online shopping and how we can send things to people as a means to perpetrate the scam that's really common around the holidays, are package delivery confirmation scams. So basically what happens in this scam is scammers will send you maybe an email or a text message, and they'll ask for personal information to complete the delivery of some sort of package, but they just end up stealing your information. Now they may do this under the guise that, you know, you're assuming that someone sent you a package, right? You may be expecting a package from a friend or family member for the holidays, a present. And so you may not think about it. You go, oh, that's probably the package, you know, that my brother sent me. Great, yeah, I'll give them the details so they can complete it. But again, these have those classic signs of phishing to look out for. Unsolicited contact. You're not really aware of this package. You didn't ask to get information about where your package was, or there's grammar, spelling errors. Again, inconsistencies in where they're sending it from and where it says it's from. So if it's UPS, it's claiming to be UPS, it should be coming from ups.com, not something else. There's that sense of urgency. You need to give us this information now, or you need to pay the duties on this now, or else it's going to be sent back and you won't receive your package. Suspicious attachments, and again, request for payment for some reason, or details that seem unnecessary, right? The only details someone should need to complete a delivery to you are your address, period. They shouldn't need anything else. So that being said, some just quick reminders of things to check to make sure that a retailer is legitimate. Check that SSL certificate. That is at https://. I know it's a lot of acronyms and things, but that's what I mean by SSL. Look for a privacy statement. If you can find one on websites, look for an address and phone number, some way that you would be able to contact the site should something not be right with your order. Looking for those details to make sure that they are in a legitimate place, that they have legitimate contact information. Looking out for grammar and spelling mistakes. Checking if a website accepts credit cards when you're shopping online. Always best to use a credit card if possible. Looking at reviews and checking out the Better Business Bureau. Some additional safety tips when you're shopping online. I just said this. If you can, use a credit card, not a debit card. In the case that some sort of account of yours does get compromised or your card information is stolen, if you're using a credit card, it will be less damaging. You'll have more protections and you'll be able to cut it off sooner. If someone gets access to your debit, your bank account information, that is way more of a risk to you financially. So don't want to give people full access to that. So if you can, using a credit card when you're shopping online. Always creating strong passwords on accounts. So if you're shopping on an Amazon, Best Buy, you have to create an account often to be able to shop on these sites. So when you do create an account, making sure you're making a really strong password, especially if you're storing payment information and addresses within that account, right? Always make it long, 8 characters at minimum, 10 or best characters is more. You can write it out as a sentence if that makes it easier to create length. Always use complex components, use lowercase and uppercases, use numbers and special characters, and use these throughout the password, not just the beginning and the end. Not enough to make your password Skippy 123 exclamation mark and the S is capitalized, right? You need to have more complexity throughout the password. Don't shop in public, right? Don't shop in public because people might be able to see your card information over your shoulder. Also, using public Wi-Fi networks leaves you vulnerable to people accessing that, right? Because that's not a protected connection. That's an unsecure connection when you're on public Wi-Fi networks, the library, public transport Wi-Fi. So avoid that if you can. using cellular data is okay. So if you're using your phone, using just your phone's data built in, that is safe. Using your home Wi-Fi, that is safe. Not using public Wi-Fi to do online shopping. If you have to, making use of a virtual private network or VPN. And always think about what you're sharing. If a website is asking you for too much information, this is something to think twice about. A purchase shouldn't require you to give information like your birth date or your social security number. So do not give out that information. And check your statements regularly if you can. If you're doing online banking, this is really easy. In the case that your information is compromised, you will be able to act quicker. So just be checking in on it, right? Don't wait till it's too late. Even if you're not online shopping, even if you are, there's many ways that our financial information could be compromised. So this is just a good practice generally, is making sure that we look at these things regularly to check for anything that doesn't make sense or that wasn't us. Anyway, that was a lot, but happy shopping. If you do have any additional questions, of course, about this topic, you can always call us toll free at Cyber Seniors at 844-217-3057, or you can visit us online at www.cyberseniors.org. All right, and now I will take some questions. I'm going to go through the chat because I know there were some in here. What site for price compare again? It is, you can go to shopping.google.com. If you just search for an item on Google too, like one of the tab items when you can search where it's like images and stuff, or like one of those should be shopping as well. That also does the same thing, but it's shopping.google.com is where you can search for an item across the internet. Carolyn, you have a question.
Carolyn Warren?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. My question is, I've noticed on Amazon that they have new and used items.
Yep. Yeah.
Is that on other sites as well?
Yes, so you'll see that across the board. It depends on the site. Especially like electronics, you'll get a lot of refurbished things too. I find that like Best Buy does this as well. You'll see like open box or refurbished items. Especially this comes a lot with appliances. On Amazon, I see it mostly with like, yeah, refurbished maybe, or used, especially with books, they do it a lot. But yeah, that is common. So you do want to make sure some of the language to look out for beyond something being used is the language of refurbished. That means that is an item that was previously used that they've just fixed up. And so you always are taking a risk when you're doing that. You might be able to get a way better deal. And people do buy those items. They're not, always lemons, but you do take on a risk when you're doing that. So something to be aware of. It's not something that you absolutely need to avoid, but you just need to know that information. Same as buying like anything used, a used car, right? You just want to make sure that that there's risk there.
I've been looking online for years, but I've been afraid to purchase anything. I always ask my friends or relatives to order for me because they're always online shopping.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of information. It's kind of why I said that I spent like 7 hours researching and often don't buy anything because I just get scared. I'm like, and I'm too I know myself, and I know that I'm not good at getting stuff, returning stuff back, like doing that. So I just that's why it's good to check the return policy too, just in case, and that may make you feel a bit more secure. But again, using these like bigger box places is really the easiest way to stay safe, because you're pretty protected if something does go wrong. Another thing too that I'll say specifically to do with Amazon that is important to know, because you might not know it, is when you're shopping on Amazon. So as I said, Amazon is just a selling platform, pretty much, right? These are all a lot of the places selling are independent sellers. It's not Amazon creating the product. They're just basically fulfilling the shipment of it. So when you are doing this, you want to look at, especially on Amazon, ships from. If something says ships from, mine says Amazon.ca because I'm in Canada, but if something says ships from Amazon, or it says fulfillment by Amazon, fulfilled by Amazon, this means that these products are stored in an Amazon warehouse, and Amazon is responsible for packaging them and shipping them to you. That's when you get those really fast ship times, and you have basically more ability to return items. The return process should be easier. Amazon will also deal with the brunt of the customer service on this part. If it does not say it, if it says it's shipped by seller, or it says another just shipping company, maybe shipped through, UPS or USPS, that means that item is coming directly from the seller and it has not gone through Amazon at all. So they're shipping it from their store, wherever it is. That may mean that you may not have as reliable tracking information on it. It may mean that returns become more tricky. It also means that Amazon will not participate in or any sort of customer service exchange that you need to have if there's something wrong with the product. So I always suggest only shopping at Amazon fulfillment to be safe. But you can shop otherwise. You just sometimes end up with slower shipping times, and you have to track it a different way. But anything shipped from Amazon is shipped from an Amazon, one of those Amazon fulfillment facilities that are huge and everywhere and kind of frightening, but that's how they work.
Well, thank you for that information. I have one other question.
Mhm.
If you're shopping for groceries and you get something that you did not order, what do you do about it?
You can contact customer service and see if you can get a refund. That is also one of these small problems with like the grocery shopping, is that if they don't have an item, sometimes like they just try to replace it with
Substitute.
something else unless you say something. And sometimes there's just they don't have red bell peppers, and so you get something else. And I would say one tip for shopping for groceries, because if you're shopping through like an Instacart or where you have like a shopper shopping for you and you get like basically paired up with a shopper, I don't mean to be sexist in saying this, but oftentimes I would look for a female shopper. Just
too.
because it tends to be young people who do these jobs, and you think about demographically who might actually know like what is a proper replacement. If I'm looking at like a 20-year-old college age man versus like a woman, I might trust her a bit more, just because our society raises us this way. And
Well, I do understand that. Thank
I
you
will say
so
that.
much.
Apologies if I offended anyone with that, but yeah, thinking about that.
All right. Thank you so much for
Shopping
your help.
online and there was the same service for GameStop, which sells video games. I might take the opposite approach, right? So
All right.
anyway.
Thank you.
No problem. Anne, you have a question.
Sorry, I was feeding my face.
Good.
I wanted to ask you about Temu. I didn't get.
Temu?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yes. I know them. I have not personally shopped from them, but yeah, go on.
Well, one of the people on here said they've never had a problem, and cut two of them. Excuse me. And so they said that they'd gotten something. So I ordered something with my friend, and I got it. It was good quality, and it was a kitchen item that I would have paid online, it was like $1 and something, and I'd have paid like almost $9 for it on one of those other catalogs or other places.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good quality.
Yeah. So yeah, Temu has come up. So Temu, I'm just like, because I never shopped from them, I'm literally just looking at their Wikipedia now. They are an online marketplace. They're based in Boston. They are operated by a Chinese e-commerce. So they're just the base in Boston thing is just, that's where their US headquarters is. They are a Chinese based e-commerce site.
Okay. So yeah,
they're similar. They're similar to Amazon, I think, in terms of what they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. I always enjoy your cyber seniors things. You always seem to give us some good tips, so I thank you. Because we got more scammers out there that think us senior citizens are dumber than a piece of wood.
Well, they are wrong, aren't they?
Yeah.
Gary, you have a question.
Yes, you're right about Amazon. I think I've been with a Prime member since about 10 years.
Mhm.
And when my Hamilton Beach regular blender broke down. I went on and ordered me. I've been had a Ninja blender since, you know, one to do the smoothies and the cocktails and all that good stuff. Yeah, Amazon is very reliable, and I only deal with places like that that's reliable. You know, well worth spending money for.
Yeah.
And sports, you know, because
Yeah,
they are
exactly.
very secure.
Hmm.
Like I said, I'm a Prime member, and I've been with them for at least, if not 10 years, it's been more.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's great. I mean, it's very secure, and so you can trust it, and that's always the safest bet when shopping online is to go through theirs. There are smaller sites that you can trust, but it's the same thing. We have to like kind of, especially when shopping from smaller businesses that maybe do their e-commerce through their own website. The one thing we have to understand is like they're a small business. They just don't have the infrastructure that Amazon has. So, you know, we do still want to, where we can, if we feel comfortable, and like sometimes I do shop from those businesses because we want to support the small businesses, but we do have to recognize when shopping from them, they don't have that infrastructure that Amazon does. So we do take on a slight more risk when shopping from them, just because they don't have the ability to give us, you know, 1-day shipping and free returns whenever we want. So yeah.
You're right. It's very interesting. I've been listening to what you're saying, and I've been in a program at UDC for 12 years, and they talk about a lot of subjects. I'm in gerontology program. I'm not gonna go over the whole full details about it, but yeah, I'm a volunteer with that program, and it's great. So you have some very good, interesting information, especially when it comes to helping seniors and so on, because that's what it's all about. Especially the older you get, to be more alert and, you know, about your surroundings and what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Righty.
Geraldine, you have a question?
Yeah, I think you sort of hit on it a minute ago. I was going to ask you about the marketplace sellers, but you just said that you just take on more risk when you work with them because they're smaller.
Exactly.
And they can't provide as much as many services. So would you buy from the marketplace sellers, or just stick with Amazon?
I do all the time.
You do?
I do, for like certain things. Like I've used Etsy a lot, and I buy stuff off Facebook Marketplace too all the time. You just have to take different precautions, and yeah, like I don't do it if it's something I need tomorrow. Like it's something that I'm like, okay, and I do a lot more research.
Okay.
So for example, like I bought like a rug off of Etsy that came from, I think, like Turkey. And it was just an independent like rug maker, but it was just like, it's there, and I could get a way better quality rug for cheaper from there than I could get spending the same amount on like a really bad, like poorly made one from, you know, IKEA. And so I took on that risk, and it worked out great for me. I read all the reviews from their customers. They only do verified reviews, so you're only allowed to review on those sites if you've bought the item. And I can see where people are buying them from. So I checked those things. I did that research. And then I was really happy with it. But you know, it did take like a month to get to me, and it was a bit slower, and I didn't have as much information on the tracking. But it worked out in the end. So it's really just about doing your research a lot beforehand, making sure that you're buying from trusted sellers. But yeah, it's great. You know, you get access to so many items and so many, especially through Etsy, like craftspeople that you wouldn't have otherwise gotten access to. So that's really nice. But yeah.
Okay. But you do buy from them, and it works out. Yeah.
But I never do it like, I usually think about it for a few days. Like I'm not, but I do that with everything online. Like I do a lot of research with anything I buy online. If it's like over literally $5, I'm like probably spending a lot of time researching it just so I know. So yeah, research is key.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Geraldine, and all the folks that have asked questions. Any other questions for Miss Macaulee, about online shopping. We actually just did an advanced session not too long ago on using the Target app on the iPad. So definitely I would recommend, like, the Walmart app, Target apps, just like, those big brand names. They're very easy to access and navigate. And all the apps on the App Store are screened for security. So especially if it's a big box brand on the App Store, take advantage of it.
Okay.
But any other questions, please raise your hand. Any other questions? I remember using Amazon since I was a kid back in the 2000s. So I've seen how it's grown since and how easy it is to find anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your questions and for listening. I hope, I hope that was helpful. And again, if you ever have any other questions, you can always reach out to us at Cyber Seniors. We're happy to help.
Oh, yes. Well, let's thank Ms. Macaulee in the chat, and also yourselves as well, for a wonderful session. We look forward to December's presentation.